Someone asked, is it possible for INFPs to overread into situations? Short answer is yes. Long answer is yes, and here's why. This is the second time I'm recording this video because I can't see what is being recorded, and it was all blown out, all white, and too bad. But this should be less rambly. So INFPs are very well known for having a very vivid imagination, being very creative people, and having this core desire and drive to understand what it means to be human, deep down. The deep, dark emotions and the positive ones too. Though, admittedly, we spend a lot of time in the deep, dark emotions. And we're very good at it. We spend a lot of time doing that stuff. Introverted feeling is our dominant function. This is about our conscience, our soul, what resonates with us and our values. And then extroverted intuition, our auxiliary function, is like this explorer character where it's all different ideas and possibilities and novelty and creativity, all this cool stuff. And so you put those together, and we spend a lot of time doing that. So naturally, we will be good at it, but there are times where we haven't calibrated properly. I was thinking of a time that I don't have the specific examples of it. What is that? Oh, I thought that was a snake. Oh, that I was out with my ENFP friend, very good friend. We've known each other for many, many years. And it was like 5 a.m. We were coming back from the clubs. And we were having these fights quite regularly. And it turned out it was because of miscalibration, where his extroverted intuition was picking up these different slices of possibilities, and then he was bringing it into what it would mean if he were to do that. His own personal experiences and his values and his intentions. And then I was doing the same thing, where I was saying, if I were in that situation, if I were feeling this or saying this thing, then this is what I would be going through, and this is what I would mean, and this is why I would do such a thing. And it was like, they were probably both valid, but they were wrong. They were both miscalibrated from the start, probably. And I think this comes from many things, but if we're bringing it into personality type, introverted sensing is our tertiary function as INFPs. This is captured experiences that we can review and recall and reflect over. And any high introverted sensing type, like ISJs, ESJs, will likely say you can tell a lot about a person based off their upbringing. And we do that too, but it's just not as developed. I really want to go over there, but I really don't want to fall in the river, though you might like to watch me do that. Anyway, we're going into our past and we're saying, okay, this is something that happened to me that was kind of similar, and then we jump off from there with all sorts of intuitive leaps. Fireworks just going all over the place, and then one leads to another and another. If that original starting point is not accurate, or is not as close to accurate as possible, then we more quickly, end up in a different place. And then we make these wild assumptions or accusations or misreading or reading in too much into a situation when there was actually not that much there. And sometimes, as I said, a lot of times it's right. But when it's wrong, that's a problem. And so what you can do, which I highly recommend, is to actually communicate. Actually get real-time feedback. Is the person really going through that? Is this really the true situation? These bridges are getting lower and lower. Or is it something that I'm just using my idea space and ideating and speculating about? Most people miscommunicate most of the time. Part of this is because of how our brain works. We create nominalizations, which are verbs that are frozen in time, as they say, a noun that you cannot put in a wheelbarrow, like creativity, peace, happiness, love, communication. What that means to me is different than what it means to you. I am communicating, I am loving, perhaps, I am doing peace, but still, like, what is that? It's so intangible. And so my representation of that is different than yours. They might have some similarities, they might not. What is success to you? It's probably different than it is to me. Though personality type, finds a lot of commonalities. So make sure that you can find and understand what the other person is going through as quickly as possible, and then you will not overly read too much into those situations, and you will likely be able to say something and do something that is helpful and actually get a true read on the person and support them, which is probably what you want to do, depending on who it is. If you're overly reading into some situations, it might be because the person is causing issues for you. And you're like, oh, they're a bad person because of this and this and this and this. But really? Maybe not. Probably not. Probably just having a bad time, That's been a very helpful perspective for me, is knowing that people usually aren't intentionally trying to cause harm. Usually they have deep down somewhere, they have some positive intention behind whatever they're doing. And it might not be necessarily positive towards you, it might be positive for their own gain. But if you just kind of assume that people are doing their best to do good in whatever perspective that is coming about for them, it's really helped me not read too much into the negative behaviors, and also keep a positive lens for how I see other people. Yeah. So let me know your experiences with I can't think of the word that I used, over diving into ideas. My brain's fried. Good luck, have fun. Peace.